I used to believe that family meant love, that no matter what you were, where you came from, or who you became, family was supposed to hold you. But that belief shattered the day my sister handed me a contract and said, "Sign it, or I'll ruin you." Her words didn't just echo in the room, they echoed through my whole life. My name is Margaret. I'm a transgender woman in my late 60s now, and if you're listening to me on Oma True Stories, thank you, truly, for hearing a voice like mine, because for most of my life, no one did. When I was born, the doctor said, "It's a boy." My father beamed with pride. My mother smiled politely. But deep inside, even as a child, I knew I wasn't the son they thought they had. I liked soft things. I loved helping my mother in the kitchen, brushing my sister's hair, wearing her scarves when no one was home. It wasn't rebellion, it was peace. But peace rarely survived in that house. My father was a military man, strict, fearsome. And my sister Claire was his favorite, bold, beautiful, loud. She used to call me weird, girly, freak. And every time she said it, my father didn't stop her. He just looked at me like I was proof that he'd failed. The first time I told them who I was 17. I said quietly, "Mom, Dad, I don't feel like your son. I feel like your daughter." My father's face turned red. He didn't shout right away. He just stared at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. Then he said, "No son of mine will talk like that in this house." And then he hit me. My mother cried. My sister laughed. I ran out that night with a bag full of clothes and a heart full of shame. For years, I slept on couches, cleaned people's houses, and hid my identity to survive. I transitioned in my 30s. It wasn't easy. Back then, the world wasn't kind. I faced insults, threats, and loneliness. But I also found strength in myself and in strangers who became my family. I worked hard, started a small tailoring business. I made wedding dresses for women who'd never look me in the eye once they learned I was trans. But I kept going, because every stitch, every fabric I touched reminded me I was making something beautiful out of scraps. 30 years later, life was quieter. I lived in a small home by the sea. I had peace at least. Then one morning I received a letter, handwritten, elegant, familiar. It was from Claire. "Margaret," it said, "I'm getting married. I want you to come. It's time we make peace." I sat with that letter for hours. My hands trembled as I held it. For years she had ignored me, mocked me, refused to acknowledge my existence. And now, she wanted peace? A part of me hoped it was real. The little sister in me, the one who still wanted family, whispered, "Go." The wedding was grand. White flowers, chandeliers, laughter, everything I used to dream of. When I walked in, all eyes turned. Some recognized me, some didn't. My sister saw me from across the hall. Her smile froze for just a second, then returned. She hugged me, but it was cold. Her perfume was strong. Her heart was not. "Margaret," she said, "I'm glad you came. We have something important to discuss." Her tone was businesslike, not sisterly. The next morning, she invited me to a hotel lounge. There were 2 men waiting, both in suits with briefcases. My stomach sank. She sat across from me, folded her hands, and said, "Before the wedding, there's a small family matter we need to settle." One of the men opened a folder. Inside was a legal document. It said I was to sign over a portion of our late parents' property, the one my father had left behind, entirely to her. I blinked, confused. "My father disowned me," I said softly. "He made it clear I wasn't his heir." She smiled. "He didn't. But if you refuse to sign, I'll contest it, and I'll make your past public. You think your little business can survive that kind of scandal?" I just stared at her. The child in me broke again. I whispered, "Claire, why would you do this?" She leaned closer. Her words cut sharper than any blade. "Because you embarrassed this family your whole life. The least you can do is pay for my wedding I didn't sign that day. I walked out trembling, numb, humiliated. When I got home, I sat by my window and cried for hours, not because of the money, but because I realized something. You can survive the world's cruelty, but family cruelty? That one never leaves you. A week later, she sent me another letter, through her lawyers. They threatened to drag me to court. But life has a way of humbling those who play God. Because 3 months later, Claire called. Her voice was shaking. "Dad's been thrown out," she said. "His sons from his second marriage don't want him. He's sick and he's got nowhere to go." I sat in silence. The same father who kicked me out for being who I am now had no home. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. Her voice cracked. "Because he asked for you." I didn't know what to feel. Anger, sadness, maybe both. But the little girl inside me, the one who always wanted to be loved, whispered again, "Go." So I did. When I saw him, he was sitting on a hospital bed, frail, eyes sunken. He looked up, and for the first time in my life, he didn't see a disgrace. He saw his child. His lips trembled. "Margaret, I'm sorry." I didn't know how long I'd waited to hear that. Maybe 50 years. Maybe forever. I sat beside him and held his hand. It was cold and trembling, like the day he let me go. For the next few weeks, I took care of him, cooked for him, cleaned his wounds, changed his sheets. And one night, as I tucked him into bed, he whispered, "You're a better daughter than I ever deserved." I smiled, tears in my eyes. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It just makes carrying it a little lighter. He passed away a month later, peacefully. And Claire? She didn't show up at the funeral. I never saw her again. But sometimes when the wind hits the sea just right, I imagine she might be listening somewhere, wondering how I kept going. And if she is, I'd tell her this. You can ruin a contract, but not a conscience. You can steal money, but not peace. You can deny my existence, but you can't erase my truth. I'm sharing this on Oma True Stories because somewhere, someone like me might need to hear this tonight, that survival isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming your peace, your name, your worth. I never became rich. I never became famous. But I became something better, free. And that, my dear, is worth more than $30,000, or 1,000 apologies that never came.